Hi, everyone. We're going to get started in just another minute, but we want to allow everyone to come into the room, make sure that you can hear me, make sure you can see the screen, and we'll get started in just a minute. We'll work out any tech issues. Caitlin is behind the scenes helping us make sure we're running smoothly. So it's nice to see your faces or your names, as it were. Today, hello, Brian Lucas. Nice to see you again. All right.
And just to make sure on my end, can you all see the slides just fine?
Yeah, if we could get a thumbs up. Awesome. Thank you, Judy. Appreciate that. Terrific. All right. Getting a lot of folks in the room. I see some of you are still connecting to audio, so I want to give folks a chance to. Hello, Marcia. Nice to see you today. Let people get settled. We've got a great webinar today, so I want to make sure everybody gets to hear the whole part, the whole bit. Okay. Hello, Ingo. Good. You're staying hydrated? Terrific. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. Let's check our time. We are at 2:01. So in order to see, Caitlin, can I let Sarah in? I'll let Sarah in. There we go. In order to make the most of our time together here, I want to welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jeannie Alter. I am the Executive Director of the American School Health Association, or ASHA. I'm thankful for you all being here today. It's a beautiful day here, and we're glad that you're spending your time with us. To spend some time learning more about teen vaping and to learn about some tools and strategies for using in the classroom. Before we get started with that, though, I want to tell you a little bit about the American School Health Association in case you are not familiar with us. You're at least familiar enough to be here with us today, so we thank you for that. Here you can see our vision and our mission. Really, we want to transform all schools into places where every student learns and thrives. And in order to do that, we advocate for the implementation of the WISC framework, or the whole school, whole community, whole child framework. You will hear a lot of that if you spend time with us at ASHA. We are always talking about how we can work together across our different disciplines and work together in a coordinated fashion. I do want to share with you a little bit. If you are a member of ASHA, welcome and thank you so much for being a member. If you are not a current member, we encourage you to do so and want to highlight a few of our membership benefits. And one is our Journal of School Health, which keeps you up to date on cutting edge research in school health. We also offer continuing education, and we offer continuing education for a variety of different professional development opportunities, including webinars like the one we're having today. So ASHA members get free continuing education for our webinars, for JOSH self-studies, and as well as our annual conference. We have also a variety of discounts available to you, including our job postings on our Career Center. We also have free internships posted on our Career Center, which I know a lot of students at this time of year are starting to look at internships. So please consider taking a look at that. And I think the best benefit of all being a member of ASHA is just access to the information and expertise of other members. We hope that you'll consider joining the ASHA family. And we hope you see great value in it if you are already a member. So I want to turn it over to Alex Parks with the Truth Initiative and have her share with us a little bit about teen vaping and the tools and strategies that you have for us today. So Alex, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jeannie, and thank you, everyone. Happy to be here. My name is Alex Parks. I'm the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Programs within the Community and Youth Engagement team at TruthInitiative. My role is really to oversee a robust portfolio of national partnerships, really focused on youth-serving organizations who have access to youth and young adults who are part of priority populations that have been disproportionately affected by tobacco and vaping, and really work with them to not only take a stance against tobacco and vaping, but also engage their youth and young adults to make change in their communities, in their schools, in their college campuses. And I also, at this point, also work to oversee our youth leadership work as well, and some of our college health initiatives. So I'm really happy to be here today. I am going to share my screen so that we can get started. Great. Can I just get a quick thumbs up if everyone can see my screen? Perfect. Thank you so much. Great. So just a quick, what we'll go through today is background on vaping issue, understanding the health effects, providing the resource that we're here to talk about, the Vaping Know the Truth curriculum, and then other resources that you're able to use in your classroom settings and how to also implement this curriculum, and then extra resources that you can get as well by visiting our website. So to start us off, who is Truth Initiative? We are the largest nonprofit public health organization, and really what we are focused on is dedicating a future where tobacco, nicotine, and vaping addiction are a thing of the past. We do this through several program areas, including our research department, our community and youth engagement, where we do a lot of activism. We also have a marketing team that works heavily to develop our truth campaigns, which is mostly what we're known for, that focuses really on communicating facts and information to youth and young adults in a fun way. And then we also have a team that focuses on our digital cessation programs, which I will be talking about today. So just a little bit to talk about the Truth Voice, which is, again, our youth-led movement, youth-led brand. And this is an important piece to remember because we have really focused a lot of time, energy, and resources to make sure that this remains very prominent around youth and relatable. So what we try to do is really to be approachable with youth, resonate with youth. We do a lot of peer-to-peer. We don't finger wag, or we're not condescending to youth or try to know youth, but we really use youth and their voice to educate others and their peers. And that has really made us a unique brand where Truth can really see us as an authentic brand as well. So a little bit to talk about the epidemic and what are the factors that really have made vaping the epidemic for teens right now. So the first I want to share is this graph that seems a little complicated and a lot going on, but really what I want to be able to take away from here is that if you see the yellow line right here, in 2000, when really our organization almost first started, that smoking rate, not vaping rate, was around 22.6% among youth. And over the years, due to a lot of prevention efforts and education around cigarette use, the rate has continued to steadily decrease. last year, it's under 5%. So again, it's at 4.2. So there has been steadily and tremendous progress done around use of cigarettes. However, what we did see in the last couple of years is when e-cigarettes came into the market about roughly a decade or more ago, specifically Juul, which was the real game changer around 2016, we saw that the youth uptake immediately rose to outstanding numbers. So for example, in 2019, it reached an all-time high of 27.5%. So even surpassing where we were back in 2000. And that was mostly due to a lot of the marketing tactics that these companies were using, but also the flavors that were available with these devices. In 2020, it dropped down a little bit to about 19.6%, which was still, I would roughly say about 1 in 5 high school students were using vape products. And then of course, COVID hit. So what we have now, our latest data that has come out from the National Youth Tobacco Survey that actually was just recently shared in the last week, is that it is now down to 11.3%, although there isn't this asterisk here. And the reason why I want to point out is that this, even though this seems like there's promise that we may be making some impact, I do want to share that 2020 was like no other year for anybody, and that this number cannot be comparable to any prior year data just because the weight of the methodology that they were getting information. Most students were not in person. They were either at home. Some of them were using their parents' computer. And so their answers might have not been as honest as we would like them to be. There was also challenges with the amount of students that were actually completing the surveys. So we can't say that this number is completely accurate. What we can say, though, is that obviously vaping is an accessibility issue. So because many students were at home, a lot of them were not able to access vapes that like they usually are in school, either from friends or older siblings. And so because we know vaping is a social thing, then we could see that this number have been impacted. It will be very interesting to see when the next data point comes out to see if there is any fluctuation in the data. TruthInitiative did conduct their own study. We surveyed about 1,000 young people about a month and a half ago, 2 months before the academic year started. And out of the 1,000 people, 70% of them reported that they anticipated that their peers would vape the same or more when they returned to school. So again, wanting just to get a feel of what was it going to look like when students were going to be back in person, that was key information that we learned as well, and not really surprising. So just a quick take a guess, if you can just put it in the chat. Is there true or false? Does vaping and nicotine use, can it amplify the symptoms of depression and anxiety? Just a quick, if you had to take a guess, true or false? And thank you for those who are, yes, many truths, many truths, many truths, actually all truths. Yes, and the answer is, it is true, it is accurate. Vaping nicotine can amplify symptoms of depression and anxiety. And the reason I bring this is just given what all of us, and especially young people, have experienced over the course of the last year and a half with COVID and changes with their schooling and a lot of impact with families and overall well-being. Stress and mental health has really been an issue in the forefront that many young people are dealing with, and stresses overall. And so what we've known is that a lot of the messaging around tobacco use, and specifically vaping, is that it relaxes you, it takes away the stress. And really what we're seeing, and that the research is seeing, is that vaping nicotine specifically can actually amplify those feelings, those symptoms of depression and anxiety. So something that you think is helping you cope is actually making it worse for you. So this has actually been a fact that we're actually using in our latest campaign focused around self-care and mental health. And I bring this up because this is a topic, again, that has really dominated the youth and young adult space. So again, another fact that is important to share with others regarding vaping. We cannot ignore the marketing tactics that big vaping companies have used to really target youth and young adults. As you see here, they have been heavily saturating the social media space with discounts and using young people with parties. They've also used younger people images. We have right here on the right side, Vaporize. We have Jewel here using a very young person. Some would even say looks very familiar to Ariana Grande, who's a very popular young singer with the ponytail. They've also marketing in Sports Illustrated and just very much using young images. But to me, the image that really sticks out and really drove home to me was the one in the middle, Solo Break. So this was an ad that was placed by Puff Bar, and it appeared to capitalize on the pandemic by marketing to youth in their bedrooms. And if you can read it, it says, it's a bedroom, and it shows, that this is a solo break. Take a break from the back-to-back Zoom calls, from the parental texts. And so there was actually a lot of feedback and uproar that came with this ad, because again, these companies say that, these products are for adults and are used for adults to help them with their quit attempt, but clearly that is not the message that we are seeing here. Another factor that has impacted the epidemic that is now being seen with vaping in youth and young adults is the growth of disposable flavored e-cigarettes. Like I mentioned earlier, Juul really came into the market as the game changer. Everybody under the sun was using Juul. Part of it was because of their flavoring. In the last, I would say, year, Juul was required to take off, to no longer sell flavors. However, they still have a menthol flavor, which is, by the way, the #1 flavor that youth usually start off with when using any type of tobacco products. But we have Puff Bar and we have other disposable cigarette vaping products that are, one, cheaper, and two, come in these array of different flavors like pina colada, bubble gum, cherry, grape, that again, are these typical flavors that a 40-year-old would use, or are these flavors that most likely entice someone on the younger side? So again, this is continuing to be an issue as it relates to flavored e-cigarettes. So what are the health effects? We know that the long-term health effects are unknown, just because, again, this product is about a decade, a little bit more than a decade old, and still there's a lot of research that needs to happen. But we do know that there are some short-term common side effects that you can experience because due to the toxins and harsh chemicals that exist in these devices, specifically all related to mouth, throat, lung irritation, headache, and dry cough. Specifically also for youth, we know that the nicotine plays a huge impact in their health, not only with their brain that is still in the process of developing, but also as it relates to addiction. A lot of these products have high nicotine level content, so that's why it's been so much easier for youth to get addicted so quickly, so fast, and don't even understand what is happening to them. They can't seem to comprehend the addiction part as well. Secondly, it's the secondhand exposure, right? So even if you're with a group of friends and there's 2 or 3 people vaping and you're not necessarily vaping, that doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't any effects coming your way, since the aerosol coming out from these devices have those chemicals that can harm you, and again, can be carcinogen. E-cigarette use in COVID-19, young people who reported ever using e-cigarettes were 5 times more likely to test positive for COVID-19. And I think, the reason behind this was a lot of the sharing of vape products that was happening. Someone would take a hit, they would share it with the next person, and then the transmission of viruses were happening there. Another piece of this is also, obviously, COVID is a virus that affects your lungs. And if you are vaping, it makes your lungs so much more vulnerable to these viruses. And it puts you in a very vulnerable, riskier health situation. So this is why we can say that, again, there was an association link around the young people having a 5 times more likely to test positive for COVID. Young people who have ever used e-cigarettes are also 7 times more likely to smoke cigarettes. And this was a TruthInitiative study where, a lot of the misinformation out there is that, well, e-cigarettes are not as harmful as traditional cigarettes. And that may be the case for adults, but it's not the case for youth specifically. One, again, due to their brain development, and 2, due to the nicotine content. And so for many who then can't seem to get enough of a fix with just a traditional vape, will then experiment to go use traditional cigarettes. Or there's even been a case where there are a lot of dual users, right? So if there are using vape, but then they go into a setting where they cannot have that product, then they may choose to chew or dip or use a smokeless product just because they just can't seem to get the fix enough for their nicotine fix. So based on what we've seen in terms of the factors and the need for this, the need for more education, more prevention awareness, and definitely more cessation, TruthInitiative decided to put our brains together and develop a Vaping Know the Truth curriculum, specifically targeting high school students and middle school as well. And really, we knew that we weren't the first ones to have a curriculum out there. There are other programs out there that have been used, but we wanted this product to really be different. And how we really were going to make it unique is that we wanted it to be self-led. Obviously, with COVID and everyone being home, we wanted there to be flexibility where it didn't really need teacher instruction. It could just be taken by the student with minimal guidance from the teacher. We wanted it to be interactive so that it is engaging for the student with truth and false questions, with games, with interactive elements, including media, where they could see videos of youth sharing their stories and their journeys with quitting, and how much they struggled, and how much they struggled with addiction. And then we also wanted it to be based on, obviously, our evidence-based framework. TruthInitiative relies heavily on research and evaluation. to form our campaigns. And so they do that with all our program. And we wanted to have that cool factor. So we branded this truth, knowing that youth really resonate to our brand and have really, been able to have a connection with it and knew that this was something that would work well. But more importantly, we wanted it to be a peer-to-peer. So throughout the course, it is narrated with a young person. We actually had a group of young people review the course before it launched to give their feedback, to make sure that the messaging and language and graphics and interactive elements resonated with them. And some things did, and some things they said, you know what, this doesn't work, or this is confusing, or this fact needs more information, or this is what it's missing. And so we really took their feedback to really strengthen our curriculum and make it what they wanted it to be. And then lastly, which I think is very unique and no other course has, it has a direct access to This Is Quitting, which is a text-based program specifically designed for youth and young adults who want to quit vaping. And it's one of its kind. And, this curriculum obviously is focused on prevention, but we know that there is a lot of youth out there vaping. So we want to be able to give them the resources as well. So we couldn't do this with some amazing partners, and I just have to give them a shout out. EVERFI is our digital education platform where this curriculum is housed. Kaiser Permanente is thankfully our funder for this curriculum. And then we also collaborated with the American Heart Association, who has an initiatives on school policies, and figured that this would be a great collaboration with them as well. So a little bit about Vaping Know the Truth, the curriculum. Like I mentioned, it's for 8th and 12th graders. It's roughly about 45 minutes long, the entire curriculum. So each lesson, which there are 4 lessons, you could do in about 5 to 10 minutes. It does align with the National Health Education Standard. I know many teachers want to know what kind of standard is it held up against. So it does align with that. Usually health teachers, counselors, PE teachers are the ones who are mostly using this curriculum within their instruction. However, we have been hearing a lot from teachers who are teaching a marketing or business class, because there is a lesson focused on how the vaping and tobacco industry has marketed and targeted these products and what strategies they've used. So they actually have used that lesson as part of their curriculum. And there's been some history teachers as well that have been using, because we do a quick, highlight of the history of the tobacco industry, all the way from, how tobacco got started in the country, all until now commercial tobacco use. So there is some flexibility around that. Some teachers have used the entire curriculum, so using all 4 lessons, or some teachers have actually pulled the lessons that they seem fit into their instruction. So maybe it's lesson 1 and 2, or just one lesson. So we do have that flexibility. Obviously, we would love a student to do all 4 lessons, but if it doesn't work, or if there's not enough time to do that, you can just do individual lessons as well. As mentioned earlier, this curriculum can be either taken on a laptop. It's also user-friendly for both Android, iPhone use. And again, the thing that really highlights the course is the real stories from youth. So we actually have videos from youth and their experiences and their tips and sharing their stories, and really the whole interactiveness of the curriculum. So what I'm going to share next is just about a minute, 19 seconds that gives you a real feel of what the curriculum is in this video. So just be patient with me. I'm hoping that the sound and the video works.
Today, 1 in 5 high school students are vaping e-cigarettes. The Surgeon General has declared it an epidemic. Now, TruthInitiative, the nonprofit behind the nationally recognized Tobacco Prevention and Education Truth campaign, has created Vaping Know the Truth, a first of its kind digital learning curriculum available free to schools nationwide. It's prevention focused to keep students from starting. And for those who are already vaping, the curriculum links directly to This Is Quitting, the only proven effective text message program designed specifically for youth and young adults that is already helping hundreds of thousands on their journey to quit vaping. Whether in class or at home, students will complete 4 self-paced lessons. Students will learn the facts about e-cigarettes, the history of tobacco companies' manipulative marketing tactics, the dangers of nicotine addiction, and keys to self-care and quitting. Just as important as what students learn is the unique way they'll learn it. Vaping Know the Truth deploys peer-to-peer video, engaging quizzes, and a format that allows students to go at their own pace, and is delivered in Truth's authentic youth voice. The program was developed together with Kaiser Permanente and EVERFI, and in collaboration with the American Heart Association, trusted voices in youth education and health. Vaping Know the Truth is already helping students across the country. Youth vaping is a problem, but we have a solution. Working together, we'll make smoking, vaping, and nicotine a thing of the past.
Great. I hope everybody was able to see and hear the video. I will. Great. So that is what we call our explainer video, gives you a real feel of what the course looks like, highlights key elements of it. So the course actually launched on November 30th, 2020. We will be celebrating almost our year out in the field. But we knew that the course was just a way to continue to educate, but we wanted to really engage those students who have been using the course. So in partnership with EVERFI, who again is our digital education platform, we launched our Vaping Know the Truth Art Challenge. And really what we did with this art challenge was we opened it up to anyone who had taken the course, and around Earth Day, there are specific facts around how vape products are polluting the earth and the impact it has on the environment. And so we asked students to submit a piece of artwork that they learned from the course related to a fact. And a winner would be chosen, would receive a scholarship, and then they would also have their design as part of our Truth merchandise that we give to youth. And so on the left-hand side, we have our finalists, which did an amazing job to portray how vaping affects the environment. And on our right-hand side, we have our winner of the Vaping Know the Truth Art Challenge. And this is our new merchandise. So again, this was another way to engage students with the information that they were getting, but also to engage different teachers, including art teachers, on how to communicate this information to students. One thing I want to focus on, and I know that this is a resource that a lot of teachers are interested in, is to take a little bit of a deeper dive on This Is Quitting, which again is our text-based program. So this is in the course, you have direct access. So if a student is taking the course and they are vapers and they're interested in learning more about how to quit, how to start that process, or maybe, you know what, I'm not a vapor, but my friends are, or I know someone in my neighborhood is, or I'm interested to learn how I can support someone who's vaping. All they have to do is to enroll is text the word ditch vape to 88709. This is a free, it's not an app, so you don't need any permission from parents. This is completely confidential. It's available 24/7. And in there, you will be receiving text messages based on your needs. So if you want information, they can link you to a hub of resources on, just quitting, how to support someone that's quitting vaping. You'll get to the information is based on your age. So they have segmented either if you're between the ages of 13 to 17, or if you're a young adult between 18 to 24. If you are someone who's vaping and are interested, then they can work together with you to set a quit date, talk a little bit about your triggers. Over the next 12 weeks, you can receive daily text messages, again, based on the need. And you can also customize how often you receive these daily text messages. So if you're really struggling and you're having a lot of cravings, you can say, you know what? I would love to get a text message every other hour, and they can do that for you. But if you're someone that kind of has a good feel about this, may not need that text every other hour, but may just need 2 texts a day just as a check-in, you can do that well, which is, something that is very unique. The other piece is that the way that the messages are sent are from, again, a peer-to-peer voice. We use a lot of messaging that we've already received and collected from other youth to really message to other youth. So it doesn't seem like this is an adult providing this, and these are messages that really resonate with you. Because this is a confidential and you don't need a parent's permission to join, this has been a huge success because, again, this is something that you can do on your own without your parents knowing if this is a struggle that you are dealing with. One thing that I do want to mention is if you are a parent or an adult and you know someone who's vaping and would like to get resources, you can also text QUIT, Q-U-I-T, to 202-899-7550, and then you can sign up to receive text messages designed specifically for parents of vapors to find out ways that you can support. So again, there is also information available for adults as well. So since this This Is Quitting has launched roughly about, I want to say about 2.5 years ago. And what we know so far is that we have around 380,000 youth and young people who have engaged with our program, with This Is Quitting program, who are either working on their journey to quit vaping, or are wanting information, may not be there yet, but are interested in learning more about how to quit. And if you see here, roughly around 142,000 of those are teens. So again, these are between the ages of 13 and 17. So again, this is just of last week, and the increase in the number of folks signing up has just been tremendously, especially during COVID. So I want to share another video, a quick video, because I think it's not enough for me to be up here as an adult and someone who's been working on this for a long time, but it's good to hear a perspective from a youth voice in terms of what they experienced, how they started vaping, and what their challenges that they experienced when quitting, and how that impacted your life. So I just have about a minute and 20 seconds to show you this quick video of Jalen, who used actually This Is Quitting to help him quit.
You take it apart and you squeeze the cotton down. It squeezes out a little bit more juice, and then you hit that. I mean, I don't think I've ever said that out loud, but that's definitely like fiend-ish.
What's it really like to break a nicotine addiction? This is Jalen. He recently quit vaping after years of juuling, and now he's seeking support from This Is Quitting to stay quit.
I originally started hitting it because it was just around. When you're first hitting a juul, it gives you a very heavy head rush. The buzz feeling, it felt good. It became a trend. Cool kids had juuls. After a while, the cool kind of fades off and you're just, addicted.
The line between social vaping and addiction often blurs quickly.
I guess when you form the addiction is when it becomes more to combat the emotions you feel with hitting the vape. When you start feeling these emotions, you reach for your vape. Believe it or not, video games can be stressful at times. Hitting the vape is a way to combat that stress. Me and my friends actually had a saying, and it was tap, nic, reset. When we all died, we just hit the nicotine and reset. It is kind of crazy thinking about, there was a time I didn't do this.
Some quitters find additional support from This Is Quitting, a free anonymous text-based program that can provide insight to the quitting process.
It's definitely a good tool because it helps you identify triggers, because you're not the only one with those triggers. Other people have those same triggers, and the text string kind of highlights that. I just woke up, regained.
So just again, the video is about 4 minutes long. If you have a chance, I can share that with you. But we actually worked with a couple of young people to share their stories. Some used This Is Quitting, some didn't, but most of them really talked about how this program really helped them with their quit journey. Back to the curriculum, since our launch, we are very excited to share that we have roughly around 188,000 students across the country using the curriculum. There are about 2,700 schools who have registered for the curriculum, and also about 3,500 teachers who have registered to implement the curriculum within their classroom settings. We're in a new academic year now. We started off right around the holiday season last year, so sort of missed that first part. Now that there are more students back in person, we'd really like to get it out there into more schools where more eyes can see it, more students can be, shared the information. We obviously are doing a lot of evaluation and want a lot of feedback so we can continue to strengthen the curriculum, improve our curriculum, and be up to date with the curriculum. And so what we're hearing right now from students is that 78% said that it increased my awareness of the risks of vaping, and 77% it said that the information there prepared them to make informed decisions around their health. And so again, we have just some testimonials around how honest the information was, how they'll use this to quit vaping, and how they'll use this to support others to quit as well. But we also wanted to hear the teacher feedback, which is important to us as well. And very happy to hear that 98% agree that the course was easy to fit into the curriculum. We know that teachers have a lot on their plate, even more now with everything going on. And we didn't want this to be another thing added to their workload. We wanted this to be as easy, as smooth as possible. And so they found this to be very much what it is. As the curriculum, there is our complementary guides to it. So if a teacher chooses to do more with the curriculum in her classroom, we have created a discussion guide where they can introduce the topic, gives them pointers on how to introduce the topic, and also gives them language and ideas on potential other projects that they can do offline, right? Specifically around the topic of vaping. We also we're super happy to hear that the course actually enhanced material that they already teach in classrooms. So again, these are coming from our marketing teachers, our history, our English majors, whatever it may be. And then again, very high numbers on recommending the course to a friend or a colleague. And then here we have just a great testimonial about how they really applauded the tone of the course and making it really a personal choice, and just really straightforward, concise information. How do we know that our course is working? We have a very robust evaluation, both around the entire curriculum. So anyone who goes into the curriculum will do a 5-question pre-course survey, and then they will do a survey at the end after completing the curriculum. We do this to identify if there has been knowledge gain, if there is any change in behavior or attitude around the issue. And then we also do a follow-up survey to follow up with the students who've completed the course to also measure if that knowledge is being retained and if we are seeing retention in behaviors and attitudes as well. Separately, each lesson, each module also has a pre and post assessment. So once you begin a lesson, there's a series of 3 or 4 questions before it. And then after you complete it, they'll ask you the same questions after it. So again, as a way to measure that knowledge gain. And these are key facts that you're learning throughout the lesson. You know, we are, again, just in our first year, but so far the preliminary results are very positive. We are seeing significantly increased in the pre or post survey, especially specifically with groups that come from low SES communities. And this is very interesting because what we did see is that a lot of the high schoolers were coming in with very strong knowledge around the issue, but there were some other subgroups that were not in that place. And so this is where we're seeing the most impact. We are so excited about this evaluation that we're actually in the process of putting together a manuscript, a published article on what we are seeing with this curriculum. So here are going to be some resources and how you can utilize this in your classroom. Obviously, there's so much that you could do, but just want to give you some ideas on, you know, how some teachers are utilizing it. Again, some teachers are using it in class discussions via video chat, if there's hybrid models. Some will be using it as an extension activity, so building off core instruction, giving students the independent to take this as a separate issue, as a separate thing that they want to focus on. They're also teachers are also using small groups. So again, doing small groups, maybe assigning a small group to each lesson, and you know, then having instruction around that, because we have guides that can facilitate or give you some ideas on what are some projects that you can work on. This is a great opportunity to do these in small groups. And then again, that there's also an option for sort of a hybrid learning model, again, where maybe some of it is doing in class, and if you are doing 1 or 2 classes, 1 or 2 days of schooling at home, you can continue to do that as well. So again, very flexible on how to use this course around your classroom setting. This is, if you take away anything under the resources area, this is the most important piece. If you go to our website, truthinitiative.org/curriculum, you can then access information around the curriculum. There is a direct link to EVERFI where you will need to sign up to access the curriculum. All you need is to put in your name, the school that you are teaching at, or the school that you are related to, and then there's obviously a menu of courses that come up, and you will pick that. It's very much 1 or 2 steps, and so this is where the hub where you'll find all the information. You'll also find fact sheets and 1-pager that we dedicated on Vaping Know the Truth, which is a condensed version of this exact presentation, which shows you what the course is about, the 4 lessons, who it's for, what it does, and how to get enrolled on it. So again, visiting truthinitiative.org/curriculum is the place to go if you're interested in accessing the course. And there's also on our website more information on This Is Quitting too. With that, that is the conclusion of my presentation. I know there was a lot of information shared with you, but I do want to, Jeannie, if it's okay, if there are any questions that you've been receiving through the chat, or if there are any questions now that you all may be interested in raising, I'm happy to do that. So yeah, I open up the floor now. I don't know, Jeannie, if you have anything else to say at this point.
Yeah, well, there are some questions, and I want to say thank you so much for sharing this. And I think what I love about this, there are a lot of things to love about this, but I think one of them that really, I think, piqued my interest is that there's that element of integration into other topics, right? You mentioned marketing, history, art. I love that connection with the environment. I speak as the Green Society president from high school, right? That connection with the environment is something that I think, it has a lot of opportunities to connect with the young people. So I love that so much. There are some questions in the chat though that I'd like to pose to you in the time we have left. Tell us about the age range for this curriculum. Is this middle school, high school? We may have missed that.
Yes, sorry, yes. So it is for middle school and high school. So we're seeing predominantly a lot of 7th, 8th, 9th through 12th graders using the curriculum. Not so much 6th graders, but I know some school districts, 6th grade is part of middle school. So it is appropriate for both middle school and high school.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Also, I think in your last slide there, the slide before this one, it talks about the learning objectives. Is there a place where we can look at the National Health Education Standards and those that are addressed by this curriculum?
Yes, yes, that would be if you log in to once you log into the EVERFI site, you will find more information there.
Terrific. Okay.
Then, obviously that's their area of expertise. So they're the ones that would be able to provide that and narrow down.
Yeah. Well, and I also wonder, we had someone mention that they're going to share this with their students. I'm assuming that that person is in higher ed and they're going to be sharing this with their students. If they're not affiliated with the school, is that something that will prohibit them from being able to get access to it, or do you get my question?
Yeah, I don't think so. So we had another webinar yesterday and someone said, I'm not from the school, but I work in a community center, right? Or at a library. Can I access the course and use it in one of my programs? And the EVERFI person was like, thumbs up. Yes, if you are engaging youth in a setting that is outside of school, but obviously it is in a center, it is in a library. Yes, you will just, again, all we need is for you to, register, and then you can, there will be options on, where you're coming from. And so I think that is completely fine. Yes, okay. This has really been, right now, it is predominantly being used in school settings, but I think there is flexibility to be used again in these sort of community centers, library type of places.
Yes, really great point. Yes. So Sarah asks, to meet legislative requirements, our state requires vaping education courses in schools to include information on laws and legal restrictions. Does this course include information on tobacco-related laws?
It does. I'm trying to think. If it does, it might touch a little bit on the first lesson, because that really focused on the history of tobacco. So I think there might be 2 or 3 points. It does talk a lot around the laws in cases around vaping and Juul specifically. So let me take another look, and I can follow up with that. I just want to, we've never gotten this question. This is a super interesting question.
Yeah, good question, Music.
Yes, so I'm gonna, and then it would be great. What state is this from that this requirement is coming from?
Yeah, Sarah, tell us. You can just put in the chat your state. Ohio.
Ohio, okay.
Wonderful. And Shannon asks, is quitting for all states, open to all states?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
This is quitting is open to anybody. It's free. Both the Know the Truth curriculum and This Is Quitting is free. You don't have to access This Is Quitting through the curriculum. If you, again, could be completely separate, but the reason why the curriculum is so unique is that it not only provides prevention information, but then it also links to cessation efforts as well, because we do know that that's an important piece of this issue. So yes, it's open
and
to.
I love that it's specifically focused on youth and uses their terminology and, those kinds of things. Because I know that there are, quit lines and things like that for adults, but less so for youth. So that's terrific. So Anna asks, she says, I don't understand. Isn't it against the law for minors to smoke and for sellers to sell the product? So why are there not crackdowns for the selling of products to minors? Do you want to talk a little bit about the FDA and SINAR and those kind of things?
Yeah. So, I mean, there are, what we're finding, what we've known in the research, there are laws, obviously, as it relates to selling to minors. But what we are learning and what we're hearing is that many of these products are not actually, one, they're either buying it online, which, there's a huge loophole around that. Two, they're getting it through someone at school, either who is old enough to buy it or has an older sibling or an older friend who buys it and then resells it to younger students at school. We're also hearing is that this has been showing up in younger. So, with smoking, it was really sort of a high school thing, middle school thing. With vapes, we're seeing 5th graders, 4th graders, and how they're accessing it is from their older siblings, right? So we've actually gotten a lot of questions on, are you all thinking about doing a curriculum for elementary age? It sounds crazy, but we are beginning to see a lot of cases come up with 4th and 5th graders who are now accessing it through older peers. So that's where we're getting, and there's been a huge push on trying to monitor and really enforce, but it's just another area where we haven't been able to really make a dent in terms of, like, if you're buying it online, you can buy lots of packets. If they're disposable, I mean, you can get them for like $1 something each, then they resell them to younger students. So it's a tough thing.
Yeah, well, as the parent of a 4th grader, I highly encourage that curriculum to the lower grades. Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like it's needed. Anna also brought up another issue, and I feel like she's my spirit animal right now because this speaks to my dissertation. And that is the relationship between vaping and marijuana use. You have an understanding of kind of how that is shaped?
Yes. So we get this question every single webinar, and I really, really appreciate every time it's brought up because it's something that we can't ignore. That is obviously an issue. So when these products did come out, a lot of youth, they experiment with different things, and it just, for some of it wasn't cannabis, it was other substances as well. But that has really been an issue lately. This curriculum only focuses on vaping nicotine. It does not focus on marijuana or cannabis use as well. We just decided as an organization that just wasn't where we wanted to focus this on, just because there's just so much more complexity around that. But we do know, obviously, that there is a lot of young people out there using these products with cannabis. And so, we have a position statement as an organization. There still needs to be a lot of more research around how we address that. But more to come. So I'm sorry, I don't have anything else really to share, but as we understand that this is something that we're looking at a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much, Alex. Great information, and love the statistics. I think that's the sort of number nerd in me. So I appreciate your time with us today. I just want to take the last couple of minutes that we have left just to remind you all and encourage you to join if you would like, because we have free continuing education for this this webinar today, and Caitlin will put in the chat the evaluation. Thank you, Caitlin. It was like we planned that. So you can click on that link, fill out the evaluation, and let us know if you would like continuing education for this webinar today. I was getting marble mouth because I was getting excited. So please take a moment to fill that out. Consider joining Asha. We'd love to welcome you to the family. And thank you for everyone joining us today. We appreciate your time. And thank you to Alex Parks for your time today as well. You all have a wonderful day. Hi, Kazuko. Good to see you. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.